Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. I know a lot of us are eagerly anticipating Mass Effect Legendary Edition, or maybe you already got your hands on the game and you want to have a discussion today, right? So today, I've got 5 things. Yeah, that's right. 5 things that I think need to improve with Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Overall, it's been a great remaster experience for me, but there are some things that are missing. We'll get into that in a little bit. But there are also some things that I think could be tweaked or added in post-launch support that BioWare has talked about already. So with that, let's get into these ideas. And of course, I am, as much as I would like to be, not a mastermind. So if there are other things that maybe should be fixed or adjusted or added to in this game, then by all means, suggest them down below. Number 1, you know what it is, okay? And I know you may think this is a cop-out answer because I've said it so many times, but number 1 biggest omission of this entire remaster package is the multiplayer. What the hell? Why is it not here? No one really, truly knows why. But BioWare, they're open to bringing it back, and that's why this is number 1 right here, because if anyone from BioWare is watching it, they can see it and be like, all right, take that note. Matty's put in his vote. He wants that multiplayer. Here's what Project Director Mac Walters had to say about multiplayer potentially coming back for Mass Effect 3. Is there any possibility of the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer mode, which isn't in the Legendary Edition, coming back in some form? I got super into it back then because you could zip around with all the different abilities and just play as an Asari or the other races. Walters said, I would never say no to that. We want to see what kind of reception the Legendary Edition gets and what the demand for the multiplayer is. And then we'll ask ourselves if we have the resources and time to bring it to the quality level we and the fans want. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking you. I'm going to ask you to do me a solid. I want you to go out there. I want you to take that money out of your wallet. And I want you to give EA all the I'm kidding. Don't do that. Okay, relax. But seriously, if you're interested, help your boy out. That's all I'm saying. Oh, see, in all seriousness, the best thing about Mass Effect's multiplayer was really in that quote I just read. It was the ability to play as different races in Mass Effect. You're not just this human commander. You can play as a Turian. You can play as a Quarian. You can play as whoever. It's incredible, and all the different classes there, and they all have their different little race bonuses, and it's a beautiful horde mode. I mean, I cannot speak highly enough about it. And if you added all the new bells and whistles that come with Legendary Edition, this would serve beautifully as a free-to-play app. I hate to admit it, there's already microtransactions built into it, so people could buy it and EA could still make money off of it. They have Apex Legends, but you know, with Anthem kind of flopping on the BioWare front, this could be their little cash cow multiplayer thing that they've been looking for, that I said already existed and should have been there. But since they're open to it, I'm putting my vote in once more. Bring this thing back. It's legitimately fun and is a great part of Mass Effect. And plus, now it'll be separate, right? Because there's not that galactic readiness tied to it. So now it's just a fun thing you can do when you feel like it. All right, on to things that maybe more of you care about, I guess, like bug stomping. So Mass Effect Legendary Edition, really solid remaster package overall in the terms of playability, but yeah, I gotta be honest, there was a lot more bugs that I highlighted in my impressions that I thought should have been there. I mean, this is a remaster, so it should have been, number 1, the best version, but number 2, when I'm playing it on the PS3, I don't recall any buggy experiences years ago. When I fired it up on my Series X for back compat and I was playing all the originals, I did not hit any bugs. Not that they don't exist, but just the amount of bugs that did trigger, the crashes that triggered for Legendary Edition were far more than I feel it should have been. Now, it's not Master Chief Collection level of remaster crashes and bugs. You can play it. It's fine. At least on the console front, that's where most of my experience was. But this is something that I think, above all, really should be tackled because I felt it was a little too buggy for my taste. And that is also coming from someone who, I grew up playing Bethesda Game Studios games. I grew up playing old BioWare games. I probably have the highest bug tolerance of all time. Granted, it's waning ever so slightly because I'm bringing it up more now. And it's because I'm aware how people feel about it. But yeah, that's saying something too. You know, like in 3 hours, it shouldn't crash twice. Sorry. Number 3, this is a Mass Effect 1 remaster request. So in Mass Effect 1, they have the original controls, the original XP modifier. Like, you can play the original game in every sense except one way. And I found it strange because the one way it was missing was the one way to true role playing. So in Mass Effect 1, when you played that, let's say I had my pistol out and I was shooting away, you'd see that the reticle would continue to spread more and more, and it wouldn't just shrink down immediately like we've seen in a ton of third-person shooters over time, like something such as The Division, something you're familiar with there, where immediately after taking a shot, that reticle shrinks back down because it's all accuracy-based. Meanwhile, in the original Mass Effect, it was continuously stat checking you. But now here in Legendary Edition, they have the new mode where you can have snap aim, so it's quick auto aim assist. But more importantly to our conversation is there's no longer that skill checking when you're firing away, which I think, by the way, is a good thing for newcomers, and I think it's a good thing for old fans. But what I found really weird is that they have retained the old Mako controls, which are objectively bad, but they didn't keep like the old way to play the game. So for those who wanted to just say, I want to play Mass Effect 1, purely Mass Effect 1 remastered and not Mass Effect 1 with some reimagined mechanics, you can't really have that quite yet. So I feel like a classic gameplay mode, like actually how it played, would be really neat to see. But with the skill checking and stuff, I imagine that's more difficult to keep in there as a mechanic you could flip on compared to something like a control scheme with the Mako. But still, there was a weird inconsistency there. Number 4, this is a PC port thing, so I am certainly no tech expert, but one thing that I felt was kind of off about Mass Effect is that while they pulled the camera back, after playing a lot of third-person games where you can see the full body, and even Mass Effect Andromeda to some extent, Mass Effect Andromeda, you could run around and see the full body. Pretty much every BioWare game you could. I still feel that the camera was way too close to Shepard and his companions. And I know part of that is something to do with level design, right? If the camera's pulled out too much, you can find it clipping through the walls. It can get really frustrating. So it may involve redesigning areas where that pulled out camera I'm asking for may not work well on the Novaria Plaza. And I get that, right? I understand that it's not as simple as asking, but with PC, there is a missing FOV option of just being able to pull things out more. And I really think that would have been great for that game version, at least. So just in general, the camera is not as big of a problem as it is in the original, specifically Mass Effect 1, where if you got into cover, you couldn't even see Shepard anymore. But I would love to see them just pull the FOV out even more if you're able to. This would be something that would be nice for PC players. I anticipate, as of the time of recording this will be a complaint over time. And I think it's something that could simply be added in, or maybe not so simply, because with Fallout 76, I remember people really wanted an FOV with that. And of course, why wouldn't they? And the PC version didn't get it for a very long time. So I think with Mass Effect, they need to have that incorporated because it still feels way too close compared to other third-person games nowadays. Number 5. So they updated so many things with Mass Effect 1 that I almost am shocked this flew over their heads, because they really did a solid job modernizing certain aspects. Like I said, the gunplay, where I felt there should have been a classic option, but I put this at the other end of the video to sort of create a separation, because one thing I also think would make a lot of sense for the modernized control scheme is that you could have 2 abilities equipped at once. So in Mass Effect 2, for example, you can press Y for one of your abilities and RB for another one of your abilities. And you can continue to add these abilities to your ability wheel. Whereas in Mass Effect 1, even in the Legendary Edition, you can only use one ability at a time. So if you wanted to warp and then throw, in Mass Effect 1, you would have to warp and then hold the ability wheel, select throw, then use throw, and it sort of breaks up that flow. And that also brings me to, of course, the combination of biotics, where there were those bigger explosions when you combine certain effects, like in Mass Effect 3, where they really went ham with that. And that's also one thing that made the multiplayer click really well. So that's something that I felt was missing here. Overall, I think that is a pretty high ask, and I doubt we see that in a patch, because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a simple remaster, and let's call it as it is, a pretty easy cash in for both EA and BioWare, BioWare, a company that struggled for some time. But I did think, at least on the ability wheel side of things, that's something that could have been tweaked, where you could have had more options for abilities that you could have equipped. I think it may have been a little bit too much to go beyond that. I don't know if that was a safe expectation, as much as I feel like they should have gone and done it, but I do think the ability wheel is something that could have used some tweaking. So overall, these are 5 things that throughout my time playing the game and continuing to play it now, I feel could have been adjusted a little bit more for a better player experience. But it's up to you now. What has Matty missed? Have you thought of something that's far beyond more important with Mass Effect Legendary Edition? Go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Looking forward to seeing your thoughts. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to push the content that we're doing here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.